The house on Haunted Hill had stood there for 100 years, empty, alone, in its silent vigil over the town where you grew up, hearing stories at night about the horrible things that had taken place there. Things too awful to think about, made worse in their retelling, as new, more frightening details were added each time the tale was repeated of murder, vampires, and visitations by creatures from the depths of hell. And now, on Halloween, the evening set aside for supernatural visitations, you are there. Spurred by a foolish dare, you are at the gate of the house on Haunted Hill. You feel the sweat on your face and hands as, trembling, you push aside the rotting wood and make your way towards the door. You're there. Just one step and you'll be inside. You hesitate. The hair on the back of your neck tingles. You can feel the fear welling up within you. But enter you must, compelled as though by some force outside of your control. You push gingerly at the massive old front door, with its stained glass windows staring out at you like the eyes of some evil apparition. You go in.
You find yourself totally lost on a lonely stretch of road completely unfamiliar to you. The road ends at an iron fence about 10 feet high, with a gate directly in front of you. You have no choice. You open the gate and enter what appears to be a clearing. The weather is worsening, the wind rising in its intensity. The first splashes of rain are starting to soak through your clothing. Suddenly, a huge crash of thunder, and in the flash of the lightning, you see it. Shelter. A small stone building just a few yards in front of you. You run towards it. The metal gate, which once would have guarded the entrance, is hanging like an old hag's tooth on one rusty hinge. The storm is growing. You dash inside to find you are in a crypt. The lightning illuminates the wall of coffins on 3 sides. Then the rusty portcullis, as if by some demonic will of its own, slammed shut. You are trapped inside. Then, in the eerie darkness, you hear it, faintly at first. But could it be? The coffin lid nearest you seems to be starting to open. Your eyes are playing tricks. It cannot be. But then, the sound becomes louder, more obvious, and you realize that it's not one coffin that seems to be opening. It's all of them.
castle looms before you, its tall turrets framing the night sky, with its cold moonlight illuminating the scudding clouds that threaten to herald the arrival of the gathering storm. It's just midnight. You reach for the giant brass knocker, centuries old by the look of it, and make your presence known with one resounding thud. Strangely, the great doors swing open, as if answered by some mysterious hand. You step in and find yourself in a massive hallway right out of the Middle Ages. A stairway leads to an upper floor, and somehow you feel compelled to mount the steps leading upwards to the castle keep. Suddenly, the doors slam shut behind you. And there, at the top of the staircase, you see it. A shadow at first, and then descending toward you, arms outstretched to touch you, face wreathed in the gloom, but giving off a glow of incarnate evil, eyes piercing the dark, staring straight at you. The face is closer, ever closer, until you can smell the fires of hell on the figure's brimstone breath. It opens its ghastly mouth to reveal rotting but pointed teeth. It's almost upon you. You turn to run, but your legs have no strength. All of a sudden, from behind you, you feel the presence before you see it. Then...
visit to the Wax Museum was fascinating. In fact, it was so fascinating that you lost all track of time. You didn't even think about it when a voice said over the speakers that the museum would be closing in 5 minutes. At this point, you had just discovered a room with a sign that read, "Welcome to Hellfire Caves, an authentic medieval torture chamber. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here." You catch your breath and your heart perceptibly quickens. In you go, compelled by a morbid curiosity to see how horrible a real chamber of horrors could be. There they are, instruments of human cruelty. A man lays stretched out on the rack, his limbs pulled nearly out of their sockets. A grimace of pain beyond endurance on his grotesque face. A skeletal female figure, manacled hand and foot, stares in death from an iron cage just large enough to contain her, suspended some feet in the air by an ancient chain from the vaulted ceiling. Another cage contains several large rats. Their authentic squeals tell you they are real, not wax figures. The sign on their miserable domiciles says they are true Raticus norvegicus, the carriers of the dreaded bubonic plague that destroyed half the population of Europe in the Middle Ages. Other cells house starving, corpse-like figures of those unfortunate to be hurled into the dungeon for whatever their crime, to surely expire in a slow and painful manner as suited their inquisitors. Suddenly, the torture chamber is plunged into total darkness. You hold your arms in front of you to ward off what? The only sound is the rats, and it seems they are all over. Could they have escaped? Or do they regularly come out at night? Your eyes become slightly adjusted to the gloom, and then something moves. Many things about the size of a rat.